And if it's okay, I am going to put you all, I'm going to put you all on mute. Okay. So if I could just ask if you are able to just to sort of, if you want to stay sort of muted sort of throughout the presentation. I'm quite happy. We don't seem to have that many people on the call. So if you did want to sort of ask a question, either you can use the raise hand feature or you can pop a message in the chat. I'll try and keep my eye on the team and the team's message. But I think we've only got a few of us, so feel free to unmute. We're sort of really only keeping muted so that we don't have any sort of background noise and things. Okay, so I'll just share my presentation with you all. Okie dokie. Hello, Paula. Hello. 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 Okay, so today's webinar is all about using Microsoft Office forms, and we're going to look at how we can use this for assessment, but also we're going to look at how we can use this generally in the classroom, and also what we can use it for business support as well. So if anybody doesn't know me, my name's Heather Hannah. I work at the Grimsby Institute. I'm one of the learning technologists that's working on the EdTech Demo Project. If anybody is from Loughborough, I'm looking after the Loughborough Team A, if you're in Loughborough. So that's who I am if you want to put a name to a face, if anybody's on the call right now. Okay, so the idea of the session is, if I could just ask everyone to pop on mute, that's okay, thank you. Okay. Session outline, we're just going to look at Microsoft Forms. So basically we're going to give a really good overview of what Microsoft Forms is, and then we're going to look at how you can use sort of different examples of how you can use it. Just realised I don't think I just made a bit of a rookie mistake there, and I've actually shared my screen with you all. Shared my presentation. There we go. Okay, so session outline. So we're going to look at forms, how you can use forms. Tips for creating forms. We're going to go through a demo, but the idea is that we're just kind of go through the basics today, and then you can hopefully go away and you can explore sort of how to use them in your own areas. And we're also going to look at how you can use forms to complete your Level Up Silver. Okay, so if you've been asked to sort of do your Level Up Silver, we're going to sort of have a look in the teams, and we're going to show you how you can do that. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, can we, yes, can I just ask everyone to mute? I think there's a couple of people that maybe not be muted. Just make sure everyone's muted. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so forms, what is forms? So basically forms is found on the Microsoft Office suite of apps. So if I just go back here, as you can see, if you've got Office 365, this will be in your list of apps that are available. It is actually also available in the free version of of Office. So if you've got like a Hotmail account, or you've got just a regular Outlook account that's not attached to your work address, it is actually available in there as well. Okay, so if you go into your Office 365, if you go to the little corner in the waffle here, this is where you'll see all of your apps. Okay, and if you look at your list of apps here, you'll see there'll be a app called Forms. Okay, and this is what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, this is what we're going to be going through. Okay, so what does Forms look like? Okay, so basically, I'll just open up my forms. Okay, this is an example of a form. Okay, and forms can be used for lots of different things. They can be used for surveys, so you can create a form, or you can actually create a quiz. So forms come in two different options. They either come as forms, so that you're asking for information, or you can set quizzes up and you can basically test your students and your learners. Okay, there's loads of options with forms. You can set if you're setting up a quiz, you can set it up to self-mark itself. So you can set it up so that you've set correct answers, or you can actually set it up a form so that you can actually give sort of individualized feedback to students. Quiz questions have sort of correct answer options and feedback options, and they all have points. Okay, we're just going to, and so these are all different forms that we've sort of created as examples. Okay, and as you can see, there's lots of different ways you can set out your forms. Okay, if you have a long, say for example, a long quiz, you might want to set up something like an exam paper online. You can set it up in sections. Okay, so you can divide up your form into sections. You can also set up on forms something called branching. So branching basically means if you've got a question that you want to ask your students, and if they answer that question correctly, you might want them to go to a different question than maybe somebody that has answered incorrectly. So for example, if they've answered, say, a maths question incorrectly, let me just show you. There we go, this has got some branching on it. So this is if you wanted to, say for example, if they didn't understand this first question here, you might get them to go to another question just to reaffirm their knowledge. If they've got it right first time, you then might get them to go to a slightly harder question. Okay. You can really sort of customize forms as well. There's a lot of different control over how you can set up the responses. And also the main thing is that you can see the responses in real time. So as soon as your students have submitted and completed this form, the responses will appear immediately into the responses section. Okay. Just see if I can find another one that's got some responses on it. There we go. That's this one here. It's some responses. This one. So as you can see the responses straight away. Okay, and it's and also you can view what the students have done, and you can provide feedback. Okay, you can share these forms really easily. There's a very big share link at the top. And you can share them through you sending the students a link, or sending whoever if you're sending things to parents, you could send them a link. And there's quite a few different options down here that you can use as well. So if anybody's ever come across QR codes, you can actually create a QR code from your form, and this is really useful if you're using these forms, say for example in class, because actually you can put that up on the board, and say for example if you're in a college where students are allowed to use mobile phones. I know sometimes obviously in schools this obviously is a bit more trickier, but if you're in an environment where students can use their phones, they could scan that QR code and they could complete that on their phones. You could also put this QR code around around a building, so you could print it off, pop it around a building, and students can complete this as they're going around. It's also the same if you're sort of doing a survey as well. You can also, if anybody has got any experience with using VLE, if you're using Canvas or Moodle, if there's an option to embed the form. So for example, if you're able to take the form and you put that in your VLE so they can complete it within the VLE, there is the embed code option there. So if anybody is familiar with embed codes and knows how to use them, that is an option for them as well. Okay, so that's just a little bit of an overview of what forms is. Okay, so it's I'll say it gives you options for quizzes and for surveys. Let's just have a little look at some of the uses of forms. Okay, so let's just go back to my presentation here. So forms are fantastic for surveys. Like I said, it's a really good space for you to give out information, to find out information really quickly. You could send these out to parents. You can send these out if you wanted to get some feedback from parents. You can send them out to students. You can send them out to external external stakeholders as well. you know, obviously we have a lot of employers that we work with, so you could send out these surveys, you know, to other people as well. It's depending on the sort of permissions of your organisation, you can actually share the form with the option of sharing the form with anybody from outside of the organisation as well. If you're sharing it within the organisation, generally speaking, you would set that as a permission, but you can share these forms outside. So surveys and feedback are really good ways of using forms, and obviously if you use the quiz options, you can use these for sort of end of knowledge unit checks. You can use them for revision resources, and we're going to go through a few of these examples in a second. It's also really good for things like registrations for events, and also I was thinking about this, it might be really good for trips as well. So if you've got obviously, you know, I don't know if you need to think about how you know, if you use parents to sign things, etc. But you know, this might be a really good option. I just in. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're just in the session. If you could just pop yourself on mute, that would be awesome.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, so these are just a few examples of, you know, how you could use forms, and I'm sure you know, we've got lots of people from lots of different settings on the course, so I'm sure you'll think of things as you go along. Okay. Here's a few tips for creating forms. So thinking about the design of the form before you start. Okay, so thinking about how you want to lay it out. You can also add in images and videos to questions. So, you know, one of the ways that you could sort of set up a quiz is if you give them a video to watch, you could then sort of propose some questions after that as well. And also, like I've said before, you can make use of a feature called sections that will break down sort of quite large forms. Okay, so and you can also see the form responses in Excel. Okay, so basically when you finished you know, creating the form, sent out to students, this also generates an Excel spreadsheet, and there are lots of places that you can create forms from. So like it says here, you can actually create a form from an Excel spreadsheet. You can create forms from things like OneNote. There's lots of other places that you can create forms from. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little demo of forms, okay, just so that you can have a little bit of a go at a form. So if anybody's is on their computer, you can either do two things. You can either scan this QR code using your phone, or you can just go to this link, and I'll just pop this link into the chat if you want to have a little go of it in the chat, and then you can have a go, and then we can see what it looks like when you have responses in real time. There we go, it's gone massive. So I'll just leave that up on there for a second, and then we'll pop back to the form, and then we can see what people have put. Okay, let's have a look at the form. Hopefully I've got maybe some people that have done it. Like I say, you've got the link there, so just if you want to have a little go at the link. Aha, we have 3 responses. Yes, excellent. Okay, so this is a response. This is just an example. This is a super quick, easy form that I literally put together in minutes. So it's just like, what is your name? What school, college, if you want, how's the webinar going so far? So as you can see, we've got 2 questions that are just text answers, okay, and we've got a rating answer down here at the bottom. Okay, now this is an example of a form. in a form, if that makes sense. So this is an example of something that you would use for a survey or, you know, something like that. And as you can see, those responses are going up. So as you're doing that, as you can see, my responses are here. Okay, so I've got what's your name, what school or college you from home, Loughborough, yes, lots and lots of Loughborough people, hello. And webinar going, oh, you're very kind, you're very kind. Okay, so it's going well. Okay, so as you can see, these are the responses. Now, if I wanted to save those responses to a spreadsheet, I can do that quite easily. If you just click on open in Excel, if I just click on that, that would open in a spreadsheet. It's going to open in the spreadsheet. There we go. Okay, so sometimes a tricky thing when you're doing things like. That's opening on my other screen. As we can see, there we go. Okay, so I shared this with, this isn't anyone with a link, sort of share link. So basically anybody anywhere could sign up for this. This is why it says anonymous. Okay, so I'm not going to get your information of you know, who's signed up for it, because you haven't had to sign in using your work email address. We've got some names and we've got some college. It looks like we have Loughborough College. Excellent, represent, excellent. So how's webinar? Getting on there, fantastic. Okay, wonderful. So so that's how you can see all the responses. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so that's a really good, also really good if you need to sort of track where your students are, you know, where your students are in terms of sort of, you know, progress. Okay. Right, so I said I was going to do a little demo of forms. Okay, and I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so it's basically to start a form, all you would need to do, I'm just going to go into, I'm going to just, yeah, let's just go into here. I'm going to go into forms. So I'm going to go into my apps and I'm just going to open that in a new tab. So I've just gone to my apps and I've just clicked on forms. There we go. Okay. Just taking a little while to catch up with itself. Okay, so these are all the forms that I've created already. Okay, as you can see, and basically some of these are forms that people have shared with me as well. Okay, so if people have shared things with me, that would go onto the shared with me section there. Okay, so that's me. These are my recent forms. Okay, so if I wanted to add a new form, okay, I've got this plus button at the bottom. It's always probably best just to use the little drop down, and then you can see if you wanted to, then you can click on whether you want a new quiz or a new form. Okay, because if you just click on new form, you will just get the form rather than the quiz. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate how you can create a quiz. Okay, and what I've got here is I've got a resource that's all about adjectives, okay, for English. And what I'm going to do is, this is just a static paper resource. If anybody, I don't know if Loughborough is in the Blended Learning Consortium, but it's basically just a resource from there. It's one of their accessibility documents. But this is just basically just got information on it. It's got some questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some of this information and these questions into my form. And then therefore, I will be able to create my quiz. Okay, so I'm going to first of all call my quiz adjectives, and I'm going to enter a description, okay, which you can do. So okay, right. So obviously you can spend more time on this as I am. You can actually add a little picture there if you wanted to. You can just sort of click on the little picture icon and you can sort of words, that'll do. Come up. Yes, that will do. There we go. Let's click on that one. So I'm going to click on the picture. These are all ones you can use. You click add. just to sort of have some kind of visual there. Okay. Oh, that's not useful. Let's try that one. I'm not going to spend ages on this if it don't work. I'll just keep trying. I don't want to keep trying that. Okay, right. Yes, that one's worked. Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, first of all, I'm going to add my first question. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add New. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a choice question. Okay, now first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them to watch a video. So first of all, I'm going to ask you to say, watch the video and then answer the following question. Okay, so I'm going to give them the video. I'm going to ask them to answer the following question. And my question is this. So I have I'm just looking at this on my other screen. I'm going to, there we go. Choose all adjectives in the following sentence. Despite the cold weather, the large windows protected the children from the fierce storm. Okay, so I'm going to add my video in here. So I'm going to click on this little icon here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on video. And I've got a video here, which I'm going to copy. And I'm going to paste that in here. And click Add. There we go. So I have a video here. It's going to be all about adjectives. Okay. And I have my question. Okay. And then I'm going to put in my options. Okay. So my options are basically going to be the sentence basically. So let me just add these in here. Add option. Oh, I've missed one out there. I'm just going to just do a couple of these. And we'll just do whether there. So we've got at least one adjective in there. Okay, right, okay, so options in there. And then what I need to do is I need to then select my correct answer. Okay, so my correct answer, as you see here, you've got this little tick here. So I'm going to click that as the correct answer. Okay, that's the correct answer. So I've also got options if I wanted to display a message. So this is like the feedback that I can set automatically. So for example, if this is wrong, I can select, sorry, try again. I'm sure you will come up with much more constructive feedback than that. But you can see how you could add some feedback so that it would automatically give that to the students. Okay, now if I wanted to have more than one correct answer, I can click on this multiple answers, and then that will give me the option to select more than one correct answer. Okay, I can also select the point. So if this is worth, I'm going to say this is worth 2 points. There we go. Okie dokie. So that's my first question. And if I wanted to add any more questions, I just click on Add New. Okay, and I'll just go through the questions here. So I've got choice, which is basically, as you can see, a multiple choice question. These are really quite straightforward. You've got a text answer, which is basically you get the students to actually write in their answers. Okay, so you write their answers and then you add the answer that you want them to put in. Okay. You've also got the rating answer, which you saw on the form. You've also got a date you could put in there if you wanted to sort of, again, this is quite good actually for things like surveys, okay, as well. So you can add a date answer. These other question types are very good for surveys. So you've got sort of a ranking system. The Likert scale is basically like, when you see on surveys where you see how satisfied are you with the service, and you go not satisfied, very satisfied, I hated it, etc. That's like that basically. It's a Likert scale. So you can give questions and then you can give like varying degrees of responses, and you can also get them to upload a file, which is quite useful if you need to get them to upload something. Net Promoter Score, haven't really used that much, but feel free to have a look at it. And section. So the section is quite important. The sections are quite important. So in terms of like, if you wanted to break up your, the quiz, if you've got quite a lot of questions. Okay. So the ones I think you'll probably be using the most are choice text and choice in the text questions, if you're using the quizzes. So that's the sort of adjectives quiz. The other thing I'd like to sort of show you as well, which might be very useful for some people that use maths questions, is the maths option. So if I wanted to add a choice question, I'm just going to add this here. So I'm just going to and then I've sort of wanted to add in some maths questions. If you look at the little dots in the corner, you have an option for maths. Okay, so one of the things we can do with maths is we can have proper questions. Right, so this is one I did it earlier, but I'll just show you an example. So if I'm going to add a new question here, I'm going to add a choice question. Okay, and it's actually already in maths, but if I wanted to turn that off, I could do that there. And I put it back on and my little dots. So there we go. So if I just wanted to put solve for x, solve for x, and it's given me now a calculator. So if you go to so basically if you go to x, and if I go to plus 3 equals 5, and there you go. So it's something plus x equals 5. Okay, and it's actually given me some suggestions. Okay, so it's kind of, this is really good about the maths tool. It kind of gives you a little bit of artificial intelligence that tell you sort of about it. So if I go, so x equals 2, yes, that's the correct answer. But then it also gives you some like suggestions. So if I could click add all, that will give me some suggestions. Okay. And if I go into add new, it actually gives me some other question ideas. So it kind of detects what kind of question that I'm going to ask, and then it gives me some question ideas. So I could actually add some of these questions in into my quiz. So this is a really, really quick way of creating sort of maths quizzes that then you can share. These are really good for starters as well. So if you're teaching maths, you can actually use these as a starter activity. If you just pop the QR code on the board, or you can actually add, these are really good if you're allowing your phones in class. It's quite an easy way of oh, I've gone off that quiz. It's quite an easy way of lost it, got lots of things going on. It's gone. It is, yes, okay. It's quite an easy way of creating a quiz, and obviously there's lots of other things on there as well. This is a quiz that one of my colleagues did, and as you can see, the questions are actually quite substantial with this. So she's actually created this in sections, so you can actually separate it. So it's got section 1, which is just nice and simple, solve for x. Oh, come on, stop doing this to me. Just, if anybody thinks that technology is a nightmare, it is. It can be for everybody. So section 1 starters, so we just made that really nice and simple. So if they've done all right with that one, then just keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go. So it's gone through different sections, and as you can see, there's some really complicated questions that you can create using these quiz tools. Okay, so these are sort of ideas that you can use for using the quizzes. There is actually you can actually create full-on exam papers as well. Like this is one that sort of we created. It's like an example of how you could use like a GCSE practice paper. So here we have the text of the paper that's been added into, as you can see, it's just been added into the name of the section, and then the text has been added into the description. Okay, and then basically you've got the different questions, and what's happened with these is basically these are being classed as long answers. So basically we've added the question in, and then we've selected this little thing that says long answer, so that we're expecting those students to give us a long answer. Now you're thinking, well, okay, so how do you mark something like a big exam paper? It's not just like a multiple choice quiz. Well, if you go to the responses, okay, you can actually see, you can actually review the answers. Okay, so first of all, you see a snapshot of what the students have put, okay, and then also then you can click on review answers, okay, and you can actually go down to the person like me, for example. You can actually go down and you can actually select these students' answers from the list. So if I just click on my name, got the text, okay, and then we've got obviously I can put the points in, and then I can put in some feedback as well. Okay, so I can put in some feedback for that student. You were marking, say, an exam paper or a practice exam paper, obviously. So you can give the feedback for that particular student. So what does this look like? Okay, so what happens is if I just go back here. So let's just try this. So basically, go back to there we go. So let's just try this, sending this to a student. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this quiz that I've just created to a student. Okay, and I'm just going to add in a long question. So let's just delete this. I'm going to add new. Okay, I'm going to add a text question. I'm going to just ask them what is the definition of an adjective. I'm going to click long answer. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete that. There we go. Okay, so this is worth 2 points, and this is also worth 2 points. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with my learner. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to email it to them. So what I'm going to do is you can see it says only people in my organisation. So I click on share, and I can either share anyone with a link. Again, you need to check your permissions for your organisation, but I'm going to check only people in my organisation can respond, which means that basically whoever is the only people that respond to this are the people that have actually got a domain. So basically, if you've got, I can only send this to, if I could, I would only be able to send this to people from, say, for example, Giphy, and they could only complete it. I could send this, if I sent it anyone with a link, I could send it to you guys and you could fill it in and send it back to me. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and I'm going to email that to my student on my other screen. Oh, there we go. Sending the link to that he needs to fill in. Okay, and now I'm just going to go into my my student account that I've got, and then we can see what it looks like for the students. Okay, and this is a dummy student, so it's not like I'm going into an actual student's account. Oh, I already had the email open. Okay, that's good. There we go, and I've got it here. Look, Heather Hannah. There we go. And this is my link that I've sent to them, and so I can now click on the link as a student. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the quiz. Now, the brilliant thing about forms is that, can you see this? I don't know if you can see this, but there's a very little thing called, there's a little book thing, and it's actually Immersive Reader. Now, Immersive Reader is an absolutely fantastic tool for students with different needs, such as dyslexia or scotopic sensitivity, or even students with visual impairments, because it so the question, and it basically, there we go. Where's it gone? Has it gone? Oh, it's working. Be patient, Heather. There we go. As you can see, look, you've got this, it opens up the question. And so what students can actually do is they can actually complete this quiz and they can play the question. They can play the question to themselves and they go and also use these little options at the top. So you've got text preferences, which basically it can change the background colour, and it can also change the font. If anybody is looking at doing the Access for All qualification, this is actually one of the tools that is mentioned in that. okay, you can actually highlight the adjectives and verbs. Now this is actually a bit of a cheat for this particular question, because what you can do is you could select the adjectives and you can see what the adjectives are. Okay, so in this situation that's a little bit of a cheat, but actually it's really rather useful if you're wanting to sort of understand what the nouns are and the verbs are, especially for literacy or students with a English as a second language. I can also translate the entire question. So if I click on translate, I can actually translate this to a different language. Oh, French. There we go. And I can do it by word, or I can do it by document. So the entire question will be changed. And actually, again, that can be read out in that language. So if you've got any students with English as a second language, you could send this to them, tell them to switch on immersive reader, and they could do the entire quiz in their own language. You also have this option called line focus as well, so that basically it's a bit like when you put a ruler onto a line, and it basically focuses on a line at a time. Okay, so that's a really cool tool that's in Forms. I'm just going to come out of it by going back. There we go. I'm just going to answer the questions. So I'm going to click, that's my answer. And then I'm going to put in here, what's the definition of an adjective? An adjective is a describing word. There we go. And I'm going to click submit. There we go. So my response was submitted. Okay, so what I can now do, so I'm going to just go back to here, refresh this, and I should have a response. Yes, I do. Should have a response. I can see, yes. Okay, so as I can see, I have my response, okay, and I have my response. I can see my response here. I could also open that in Excel. So I'm going to review the answers, okay, and this one was auto graded. So this was actually 2 out of 2 because it was the correct answer. Now this one, obviously you need to mark it. So it's a longer answer that you need to award the points to. So I'm going to say that's fine, that's 2 points. And then I can provide that student with feedback. And I can say, this is correct. You can put more feedback than that. Okay. So that's done. Okay, so then if I wanted to just go back to the questions, I can click on the questions, and then so that's all been marked, that's fine. I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to click post scores. Okay, and that will be posted. So what will happen is, go away. So what will happen is if I now go back to my link, there we go. I should be able to, where is it? Should be, okay, let's just go back to the link. Hopefully I should be able to see my results. Oh, where's my results? Oh no, where's my results? Ah, preview, there we go. Oh, not yet posted, sorry, I apologise, there we go. Click on that, post scores, okay, that'd be good. Right, that's been posted. Okay, let's try that again. Where is it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? That's not, it's not working. Ooh. Posting source will give responses access to the view feedback and results of the quiz. The sponsors can view their results using the same link they used to launch the quiz. That's what it says. That's what it says. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, so that's a few ideas for you to use forms. I will sort of have a look at that. Okay, has anybody got any questions? I've realised I've rattled on for ages and ages and ages. No. No, okay. No. Okay, right. Okay, right. Well, that was pretty much. I'll just go into. Okay, so we've gone into sort of how you can view the responses. Just yeah. Okay, so we've gone into how you can view the responses, and we've. Oh, I've gone into the wrong one. Okay, so we'll look at how you can use forms for your Level Up Silver. Okay, so basically what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to the team. So I'll just open up the team, my teams. Okay. Okay, and then basically what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to your class team. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Loughborough team A. Okay, and what we're going to do is basically what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to the general channel, click on assignments. Just give it a second. Okay, and then what you will need to do is you will need to go to the Level Up Silver assignments. Okay, I'll just go into the student view of this. So you'll see everybody else. Okay, and then basically you can see the instructions. So what you'll need to do, so the instructions are on here. And basically if you click on the Level Up OneNote, what we'll be looking at for forms is we'll be looking at for a copy of that link. Okay, so basically if you complete the information on the OneNote, so if you go back here, so if say click on a Silver, again just read through the information. If you're not sure what you need to do, click on the rubric, and then this tells you what we're at, what we're kind of looking at in terms of the marking of it. But what we'd be looking at really is for you to go into the OneNote, and then obviously put in what tool you'll be using, which will be forms, technology evidence, which will probably be a link to your form, and then basically you've got to complete the evaluation, which you can either do on Flipgrid, which is here, or you can just literally just write down the you can just write it down on the OneNote. Okay, and then you need to click hand in, and then we will see it. Okay. If it comes up like this, what you might need to do is click Edit Notebook, okay, in order for you to actually complete it. Okay, right. Has anyone got any questions? I'm just going to stop sharing my screen.
Heather, sorry, how are you doing? You're right?
Yes, thank you.
Good, thank you. Sorry, it might be a quick one. We might have to check it internally at our end, but a lot of my forms have learners obviously filling it in. From a GDPR point of view, is that something that we probably need to just check, that we're okay sharing learners?
Yeah, we can always I think yeah, I think don't need to share. I think what you might need to do in that situation is probably just share a screenshot if you can. Just share don't need to put any names on it or anything, but if you just share a screenshot of like the form that you've created, perhaps, yeah, if that's okay. And then if you've got like, if you want, I don't know, if you've got any responses that don't have names on, then obviously you can share that with you. But if the thing is though, if you put a screenshot of your form that you've actually like created, then obviously, I mean, if you wanted to, you could always just share well, I suppose if you, to be fair, I'm just thinking if you share the form with us before, if you share I'm just thinking if you share the response link, if you just share the response link, we won't see any names of the learners, because basically the only person who'll be filling it in is me or whoever's marking it. So we won't see anybody else that's responded to it. Okay,
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just share like the actual, when you go to share it, if you just share the, you know, if you imagine you're sharing it with me as a student, obviously then I won't see anybody else that's actually completed it. So we won't see anything untoward. But I suppose if you were thinking about how you would share responses, obviously, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. But yeah, we won't worry about that too much.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you.
Has anyone else got any questions? No? Okay. Right, so I'm going to leave that there. If anybody, actually, I better just finish off actually with this. If anybody is doing their MIE or hasn't done their MIE, I'll just share this with you. So if anybody is not done their hasn't done their Microsoft Innovative Educator badge and you would like to do that, if you use this code here on the PowerPoint, this will actually give you some points. Okay, so if you go to, I'll just show you, if you go to the Microsoft Educator community, if you're somebody that hasn't done this and maybe would like to do this, because you've attended the in-person session, we can give you some points. Come on. So if you go to the Microsoft Educator community, if anybody has done this, you don't have to. It's just, it's just free stuff really. But if you go to education.microsoft.com and if you sign in, under your little profile, you've got a thing that says redeem. So if you wanted to, you could go on here, you could click on that redeem achievement code and you can pop in this code and you'll get some free points because you've attended the webinar. Okay, I'm going to start recording. So I'm recording.